So now staff are going to, it's changed again, staff are just going to give a really quick, tiny, brief intro, and then we will go into report number 9 to start with.
You should all have a copy of the order run sheet on at your seats.
In the middle.
Yeah.
We're going to run the reports through, and you should have a copy of all the questions on your seat at your desks as well.
So we're going to embark on a efficient, succinct process, and I think that the deputations, the submissions, and the Q&A we've done already have been really helpful. So we'll fire away, and you do an introduction.
Okay. So very quickly before we jump into the detail of the projects, I just want to remind you, Wakatahi set 4 categories for these, which are walkable neighbourhoods, strategic cycling, school safety, and public transport. They've got slightly different priorities for each one. So things like Smith Street and Linwood Village, you may see different solutions, or they may well accept different solutions on cycling than they will on strategic cycling. I would stress again, as we did at the beginning, that these have been co-developed with Wakatahi. They're happy with what we've got, and major changes may well put the funding at risk. Their funding outcomes, if we take a piecemeal approach to some of the big long ones, we may well put the funding at risk. And on the cycleway project particularly, they've set some very strict design parameters. They don't like greenways except where traffic volumes are very low. They're not a big fan of shared paths, particularly in urban areas. So with that, I'll hand over to the detail, but that's just to remind you all before we jump into the reports.
Yep. Super. So school safety. The school safety program was developed from looking at the locations of the 2 schools and the routes that the children would take to get to Whito School and Te Pā o Rakahotu. We also went to the school, Whito School, and worked through with them the problems that they have walking to school and some of the solutions that the children would like to see. We also met with Te Pā o Rakahotu, and so the scheme on Woodham Road and Ngārimu would really benefit the children at Whito School, as well as Worcester Street, because they do walk along there, and children also live to the west of Linwood Avenue, so they appreciated the additional crossing points along Linwood Avenue. The crossing on Woodham Road is located midway between a crossing point at Linwood Avenue and one at Gloucester Street. So there's a kilometre where there's currently no crossing points and 3 sets of bus stops. And it's the Orbiter bus route that uses this route, so it does pick up school children and deliver them back to those stops when they get home. So Sam, do you want to give it engagement?
Sure. So the majority of the 15 submitters felt this proposal would improve safety for pedestrians, 53.3%, or somewhat, 33.3%. There was a lot of support for proposed intersection upgrades, but some concerns were raised around visibility, congestion, and access to properties. There were more requests outside of the existing proposed intersections, some requests to shift a pedestrian crossing that was proposed, and requests to address the road condition. I just want to point out for this one, the eastbound bus stop on Woodham Road was shifted as a result of a street meeting hosted at 151 Woodham Road with elected members present from Waitai Coastal Burwood Linwood. They raised concerns on the location of the bus stop and no stopping lines, and requested we shift the project east. So you're seeing the updated plan where the bus stop is shifted east. We reconsulted, and that submitter came and chatted to you today about their concerns.
Questions?
Right, so
that
was the start of item 9.
That was item 9, yes, thank you. It wasn't clear that you... so, thank you very much, and elected members will have the written responses to some questions. Are there any more questions on the report, item 9? Councillor Johansson, has he? I haven't seen it. Is it emailed?
He's emailed it through. And he's got a question.
Yep. Have you got your question, Yanni?
Sorry, it was a bit hard when we heard from the submitter because it wasn't clear. But what number was the submitter we heard from today? Was it 153?
169 Woodham Road.
They're from 169, which is where the bus stop is being proposed to go to. So if we wanted to, I've just sent through an amendment. I'm just concerned that we need to do more work around this particular crossing. So is there anything that would restrict us from taking it out of this process, putting it into, giving it to the local community board to work through with the local neighbourhood to come up with a solution?
So Lynette will answer
Can
that.
I just before we
Well,
I'll
we've
let the
got
team.
Craft money
I'll
that's-
let the team answer the detailed answer. But if you do have amendments today, can you please ensure you send them through to Katie? Otherwise, we can't manage them.
I think we already know the answer to that anyway, Yanni. If you take it out, the funding's gone. But I'll throw to staff to read. Okay.
That's exactly the answer I would give. Is that I mean I can't guarantee it, but I think that if we didn't approve it here, I think we're unlikely to have it funded through the Transport Choices Programme. So yes, you're perfectly welcome to send it back to Community Board, but we would fund it as council through our normal budgets.
And so, Yanni, just to be clear, so your amendment, are you wanting the crossing and the bus stop alteration taken out? So nothing, it's the status quo. No, Yanni, can you just answer yes or no? Is that what your intention
I'd
is?
rather leave it status quo at the time
Status
being,
quo, yep.
and
yep.
then give the community board the chance to work through with local residents around alternative options.
Isn't it true that you already have, and this is what the board wanted?
Yeah, but except we've had the submitter come to us, not being aware
One
of the change.
submitter.
So when the community board met, I don't even know if they met with that submitter that came today. So
But
Can I
you,
clarify that?
yes,
Do you want me to
please,
clarify
yes.
that? So my understanding of this, and the staff will correct me if I'm wrong, is that the community board members did meet with the submitter, and there were changes made, and the submitter you heard today is the one that is impacted by the changes made.
Correct. Yeah.
So, and that the no stopping lines are to do with the bus stops, not to do with the pedestrian island. So, that is the issue we have when we make changes, is that they then have an impact on someone else.
and that's
So-
what I'm concerned about.
So
Are you wanting to move that as an amendment, Yanni?
Yeah,
Do you have a seconder?
but can I just get the answer? How much is this project costing?
How much is that
How much
section
is
of the
this
project?
section costing?
It's,
That would have been nice to
don't
have
know.
that question.
It's in the
we haven't
report.
got there.
There you go.
Excuse me, can we just not have a cross-table chat, because we've got to get through this. Councillor Barbara, I'll just wait for staff response on the number.
It's in the report. We'll
It'll be,
item 9. Isn't it?
Sorry, I know the overall figures in the report. I'm just asking for this particular crossing. That was all.
the staff haven't had time and have not had time to answer that question,
And
and
this
can't
is,
give you that answer off the top
This
of
is
their
going to
head.
hold things up if we're going to do this all day.
We need to go away and have a
So
look.
the question I have for you, Yanni, if you want to move it, do you have a seconder? Is there a seconder for Yanni's amendment?
I'll second it. It was to take it out, right? Just the crossing, that crossing and that particular aspect, but
And
to
the bus
leave
stop.
the
In the bus stop?
yeah.
Status quo,
So
you'll
I'll
second
second
it.
it. Yeah.
Okay. Are there any other questions? So you need to,
So, yes, sorry. The item itself has not been moved and seconded.
Okay.
and second, so Jake, Councillor McClellan, and
Councillor Baker.
that's okay, I was getting to that, I'm just going through the questions first. So are there any other questions on item 9? There don't appear to be. All right, so we need to get the wording for the amendment, which was, okay, so Tancred Street crossing and bus stop alteration be removed from the scheme and referred to local community board. So Yanni, you do need to be explicit in what you're asking for here. It's the crossing and the bus stop, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yep.
you could just refer to the attachment if you want. I don't know if that's helpful. Attachment F.
The bus stop relocation.
Relocation.
That's okay, alteration here. Yeah. Okay. All right, I'm going to cut to the chase. I'm going to, so it's moved and seconded, moved Yanni, seconded Councillor Barber. I'll vote on, put the amendment first alone. Beg your pardon? you want to debate the amendment? Is there any? Yeah, okay, we'll do one debate. So, Jacob.
So just to follow up on the question from before, we think it's about 40,000 to put in the crossing and the bus stop.
Thank you. So that's 40,000 that we won't have. So if this is carried, okay. So that's a good suggestion. We'll if there is any debate, and please, members, you do not have to debate every item. If there's any debate, we'll debate the substantive and the amendment together, and then I'll put the amendment, then I'll put the substantive. Right, open for debate. Councillor Coker.
Obviously, I'm supportive of this. Just in regards to the amendment, we had one submitted, obviously, and there'll be others that was opposed to this, but we also had another submitted that said that that pedestrian crossing goes to the park and is great. So I'm fully supportive of it because any safety improvements are a bonus.
Thank you. Councillor Templeton.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm in favour of the project as it stands today and am against the amendment for several reasons. Firstly, that this has been worked through with the community board and that they're in favour of this. And while one submitter today was against it, the submitter that came directly after them was in favour of the crossing point, and that he and the children cross here to go to the park. The park, Wooden Park, is really well used. It's got the aviary, it's got a whole pile of other things. It's got the butterflies that go there off season, and having a really safe crossing point across there is essential. I think that any proposal to defer this and try and find funding in the long-term plan process is a real struggle. We know that the planning for the long-term plan at the moment is really difficult, and proposals that aren't high up in the list will really struggle. And this one was put in this program because it wasn't high enough up in the list to start with. So I think that we should do this now, use the funding that's available to us, because it was well supported by the board who'd been through the process and other submitters today. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Moore, Councillor Barber. Councillor Moore.
Yeah, I think if you referred that back to the community board, I think the majority probably say, why on earth did you not put that crossing in when you had the chance, being right now?
Thank you. Excellent debate. Councillor Barber.
Yeah, thanks. Look, I'm opposed on the basis of being called by residents down to have a look at the proposal. They weren't happy about it. There was a few of them who felt that it was unnecessary. I feel like these sorts of crossings are sometimes unnecessary and are the sort of things that give council a bad name. Thank you.
All right. Councillor Johansson.
Yeah, thank you. There's no doubt that our staff have been put under huge pressure from Waka Kotahi because of the short timeframes and how we do these consultations. And I think we've heard through a number of submitters the real concern at the lack of evidence, the lack of data, and the lack of time to adequately consider the implications. But in this particular one, I'm not saying there shouldn't be a crossing here, and I'm not saying we shouldn't do the bus stop. But it seems to me, in terms of a process, that actually having a local community board, actually making these decisions to start with would be good, weighing up the different things and having a process where everyone can participate at the same time. I think this is in the scheme of all these other safety improvements, which I welcome. I think it's incredibly important to put in these safety improvements in this area. There is very good reason with a school, and it sort of highlights the issue with the way we do planning as a city, because basically we allow these schools to redevelop post-earthquake, but we don't seem to have any relationship with MOE where the traffic the safety improvements get done when the schools expand, get redeveloped. So we've also had a lot of intensification happening. We've got a lot more Kainga houses being built, more denser houses. So these safety improvements are definitely needed in this area, and I welcome them. But for the sake of this one contentious crossing, I just feel that we need to spend more work working with local residents to come up with, if we can, a solution that is more amenable. So I don't think it's $40,000. Actually, a number of these projects were craft projects that have been put into this budget, so there is extra money available for the community board through the craft program that it could specifically refer this crossing to, so it wouldn't be a funding shortfall, and it just gives more time to work through an issue. So, that's the reason for putting it forward. Thank you.
Thank you. And look, I'm just going to say that, I hear you with the community board, but the community board did some work on this already and came to this agreement. So on that basis, I'm going to support the substantive and I will vote against the amendment. So on that note, I will put the amendment. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Opposed? Aye. Can you put your hands up? Who supported? 2. Is that right?
2 for the amendment.
Yeah, thank you. I'll now put the substantive. All those in favour say aye. 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 Opposed? That's carried. Thank you. Okay, so now we are moving to number 12, item 12. Yep.